This is it. Probably the most anticipated and hyped up part in the entire series. The moment I started watching and then started reading Jojo, I couldn't escape it. The hype of everything to do with part 7. The crippled protagonist, his always good looking not boyfriend, and the president of the United States being the villain. And we fight him because Jesus said so? Alright, that's something to be looking forward to. And so, not too long after I finished Stone Ocean, I began my journey to read the crazy cross-country tale of cowboys and celestial beings. This is the review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 7, Steel Ball Run. Now, having a similar title to my Stone Ocean review, I'm going to be completely honest when it comes to this. So if there's something I liked and love, I'll go into detail. And then something I genuinely didn't enjoy, I'll tell you why. And honestly, when it came to this daunting task and trial of getting ready to collect my thoughts about the part, I kept telling myself, I don't know where to begin. I guess I might as well get this out of the way now that I have your attention, but let's see for how long. I'll start with the few things I disliked. I know my friend is probably tired of hearing this for the 15th time. Well, get ready for the 16th. The biggest turnoff for me from Steel Ball Run was the beginning. Because I was reading, and nothing was clicking with me to have a pure interest in the story. I feel awful saying that because this is connected to one of my overall favorite manga and anime. And this is the part that everyone constantly told me to be ready for. But I was not feeling it for the first 24 chapters, hell, maybe even first 3 dozen. After 30 chapters in, I'm still thinking, it's okay. However, my biggest fucking gripe with Steel Ball Run, which is something that plagues all over JoJo quite frankly, and every time I saw it here, it gave me a headache, it's the dialogue. It's so damn repetitive. In any other series, when someone asks a question, they'll ask it like once or twice. In JoJo, it's an interrogation, except it's the same question and phrase over and over. Not even from Steel Ball, but from Vento Arreo as an example. When Risotto asks Doppio to raise his foot, he tells him to do so like 4 or 5 times. Or when Josuke finds Kira during the final arc. In Steel Ball, the announcers and race commentators specifically make it so annoying to read what is clearly happening. Why does the same thing need to be repeated this many times here? For the effect of hyping it up? Well, it loses its hype when it covers up the art. This is something that really happens in the first chunk of the story. It kind of reared its ugly head in the last couple of chapters, but mainly the first quarter, because, you know, that's when the characters really cared about the race itself and nothing else. And well, I have to be honest, I didn't care too much for the race as well. I thought it was whatever. At first, I thought it was kind of cool seeing Gyro take the lead, but afterwards, I'm not invested in who places where or what. And I guess from my own personal experience, this has no real effect on the story in its entirety. However, some things felt a little overrated by fans. I'll just flat out say it. The Ringo Rodigan fight is okay at best, which lines up with what I said. I did not care for the Ringo Rodigan fight.
How can you not care for the fucking Ringo fight? It's so good.
Didn't care for it.
How can you not? Did you not read it?
It insists upon itself.
Over 30 chapters in, and every now and then, I'm legit thinking about dropping it. It's got such a slow pace to it, more than usual for a JoJo part for that matter. Now let me stop you right there before you say something like, oh, you just don't understand the complexities of the Western style, and you only care about action, right? Completely untrue. You can have as much action as possible, and there's still a chance that action alone is not enough to be captivating. Jujutsu Kaisen is an example of this, in my opinion at least. You know, JJK, a series that can't go 3 to 4 chapters without someone attacking another person or monster. it honestly took about 55 chapters for me to really start caring what was happening. Mind you, that was the start of the Origins of Obedience arc, and its first couple of chapters, it's just the characters talking and trying to figure out what's happening. I absolutely enjoyed that, but back to Steel Ball, it's just not all that interesting to me in its first 35 chapters. But then something odd happens. I read chapter 36, and I actually wanted to know what was going to happen next. And if you know, that's the start of the Catch the Rainbow arc. I liked what was happening. Tense moments with characters you don't know if they're actually going to survive or not. A wicked stand ability to an enemy, and shit that doesn't really have anything to do with the boring race. Everything was coming together now. The art, the setting, the tension, the characters. Which, I might as well get into this now, since this is when I started caring. Let's get the main Jojo out of the way. Gyro Zappelli. Now, Gyro's pretty huh? Hold on, my phone's going off. Hello? Yeah? What do you mean he's not the main Jojo? Him? The dude in the wheelchair. Okay, hold on. Give me a minute. Okay, so apparently Mr. Steely McWheely is our protagonist on this continental travel adventure. Johnny Joestar. Oh, I've heard it all when it came to this guy. And the main thing being that he's an asshole. Straight up. And I thought people were exaggerating. Well, no, that's just who he is. Which goes into one of the elements that separates him from the other Joestars. That pitch black intent in his eyes. The dark determination. Which means, fuck all morals and anything else. Win by all means. And even with those black flames in his eyes, I didn't care for Johnny all that much. Maybe from the fact that all the previous Joestars fell under the idea of they're assholes to varying degrees, but still have a heart of gold, or diamond, platinum, stone, or purple, whatever. All except for one, that being Jonathan. He grew up with a pure gentleman's heart, which got taken advantage of course. Unlike his descendants, they could stand up for themselves or other people, throw in a one-liner, and break all of someone's bones and be A-okay. Not Jonathan. He sucks at first, and that's the point. He had to build himself up like a brick wall to be the person we know him as today. And then I had to remind myself, Johnny is a different version of Jonathan. So their path to greatness and to fight blonde people who are in position of power are rather similar. And by the end, that Tusk Act 4 rush, ooh, beautiful. I respected him by that point. I liked Johnny afterwards. But he's not my favorite. Moving on, Gyro. He is pretty dope. An executioner from Naples is the last thing I expected him to be, but he's cool through and through. And that's all I honestly have to say about him. Like, he really speaks for himself. Everyone knows him and loves him. Like his balls, his belt buckle, his stand, his looks, his laugh, his singing. None of it is whack. In fact, it's tight as fuck! Now, with all that I've said so far, I don't want to curb you into thinking that I hate this part or anything. Far from it. I get their characters and their journeys. It's like Crollo and Meruem from Hunter x Hunter. I understand who they are, they're cool, and everything about them, and they have dope moments. I appreciate their story to the overall narrative. But are they my favorite? No. You want to know the people who ended up being my favorite from Steel Ball Run, though? One has a baller stand cry, and the other just cries a lot. The Brando name lives on in this universe, and it's carried by Diego. He is awesome. You could kind of tell that by part 4 and onwards, Araki wanted to give his villains more believable motivations. Although, not being the center threat in Stone Ocean, Dio was given more to him with his Heaven plan, as opposed to just wanting to be the strongest or rule the world. Thankfully, with how part 7 is in general, he gets another try with him. Diego, this time around, has more going for him. He has actual motivation in his own beliefs. At first, I thought he was okay, and the idea that I'm supposed to see him as a rival wasn't hitting as much as it should. JoJo's never really done rivals before, and I mean proper ones, but then his countless team-ups, which never end up in his partner's favor, now that I think about it, is what made him more memorable. And my ultimate favorite part about him is his tag team fight with Hot Pants against Funny Valentine. Holy corpse part. That was the best fight in part 7. The moment I saw another version of Diego and Hot Pants getting kicked off the train, I was geeking out by that point.
You might know everything I'm going to do, but that's not going to help you, since I know everything you're going to do. Strange, isn't it?
Like, holy shit, man. What are they gonna do? They got him cornered, but he actually has them cornered. Oh my god, they're falling off the train. He does the wicked slash. Oh, fuck. It's so cool. Your boy just wanted to throw hands, or claws in this case. Ends up fighting 3 of them at once, and he's just like this.
We have you 4-1.
I like those odds.
I love the dinosaur jockey. All the boys are cool and stuff, but the best character throughout the story is Lucy Steele. Bro, isn't she like 14? The best character. She genuinely surprised me at everything she did. Every time she was the focus of a chapter, those were my favorite moments. Then the Tubular Bells arc happened, and I had to double check what story I was reading, and I kind of realized that characters who tried their damnedest to live a normal life of some kind, but are forever getting screwed over by the universe, they are my favorite. Like Johnny's journey of becoming a better person mentally, spiritually, physically, that's neat. Gyro throwing 100 steel balls throughout the story, also cool. But Lucy is practically standless and helpless in the situation she ends up in. But against all odds, and I mean all odds, by the end of the story, she manages to shoot a guy in the neck, was about to have this weird-ass affair with the First Lady, gets her killed, kills Valentine, and disintegrates Diego via headshot from a severed head. Stand or no stand, she does not need a ticket to ride for the best character train. Lucy is best girl and the greatest hero of Steel Ball Run, and she deserves the world. But speaking of getting the world, there was someone who wanted to do so through pure devotion to one's own country and love of all things that are red, white, and blue. Patriotism so massive that its ideals are concrete through multiple universes. Infinite possibilities, 44 states, 22 previous leaders, one man and his dream, Funny Valentine and his stand, dirty deeds done dirt cheap. Similar to Diego, villains aren't just someone who's evil and that's it. Surprisingly, there can be more to them. They too can be complex, and Funny Valentine is an antagonist that changes the formula of how other Jofos did it. Instead of ruling the world just because, he does it through the love of his country and what he believes is truly right, going to great lengths to seek help from people he just got killed, or lying on his father's handkerchief to win. We may not have seen it, but he also has dark determination. You can tell. Or dark patriotism. Something like that. It feels so weird, but a sign of a good story that you sometimes root for the villain every now and then. But then you have to ask yourself, is Funny Valentine really the villain? Is trying to make sure that the next generation and your children and your children's children have a glorious and prospering life under a flag that has the potential to have more than 50 stars in the future? Is there something wrong with that? No, not by Valentine's guideline. Even if some things he did were a bit questionable, the napkin philosophy is what I base my entire worldview around. Now take off your clothes. Huh? Another thing that I really liked about Valentine is his stand, because first of all, thank Made in Heaven, it's not time-based again, it's a space and dimensional stand. I love the design of D4C and its power, even though its introduction of being used was confusing as fuck, and its ability and catchphrase that go with it. All lovely. And I think that's my absolute favorite aspect of Steel Ball, is how the stands are used this time around. I think most of us can agree that from Stardust to Stone Ocean, stands for most users were colorful ghost Pokemon. And when I say that, it doesn't mean I hate how they were used. Sometimes that helps the series from stands with personalities like Echoes, Spice Girl, and Sex Pistols. Compared to many different series, when the character does the punch with his fist and the slashing from their sword, it's directly from them. Not in Jojo though, it's from the person-like thing next to them. However, in Steel Ball Run specifically, stands are used as an extension of the character. The best and coolest example being Ball Breaker, Gyro Stand. I already heard from people that you only really get to see this thing fully manifest in the last handful of chapters, and shit, they weren't wrong. Ball Breaker basically only forms when Gyro gets a critical from throwing his balls, or Tusk Act 4 can only be accessed from using literal horsepower to shoot a nail through dimensions. Both of these fall under the spin technique as well, and that's what makes it so cool. They already have a talent or skill, and it just gets enhanced through the stand. The same thing with Wake Up Peepo. He was cool along with his satellite ability. Another great thing about this approach is how stands aren't just used for action. Even though I said that Short King and Pink-Haired Nun fighting against the President is my favorite battle, easily my second favorite encounter was Sugar Mountain Spring. What a breath of fresh air of how to keep things interesting and at the same time distinct from other fights in the whole series. Quite frankly, I kind of forgot about the fact that they also fight against the 11 men at the time, but it's fine though. Stands are used differently here, and they still stay true to the series. And I guess that's my final thing I do enjoy about Steel Ball Run, is how constructed it is compared to the earlier parts of the story. Araki really had a vision of telling a grand story that clearly had a beginning, middle, and end that all connected, prior to other parts to where it kind of felt like he was making it up as he goes, especially of how he was on a weekly schedule, which I never really had a problem with. But seeing that he couldn't handle that anymore by the end of part 6, he switched it up to the monthly style instead, and as many can say, yeah, it definitely worked out for the better. I mean, it probably also explains how he looks so young compared to most mangaka for his age, regardless of him siphoning the blood from his fans from being a vampire since the late 90s, that's whatever. With Steel Ball Run taking its sweet-ass time telling you this bizarre adventure, once again, for me, the beginning of it is really slow. Even if I did a reread of the whole thing, I probably wouldn't enjoy the first quarter as much with everything in mind, and would just want to get to the good stuff. When it starts to get its stride, it just keeps going like the Energizer Bunny. Abilities that are unique and interesting, characters that all fall towards the gray portion of the black and white scale, each of which have convincing and believable backstories that actually make them feel like people with their own goals and belief, as opposed to a collective mindset that's shared among the cast. Most of which all have some sort of daddy issue problem, but more seriously, all sharing the theme of how their father's influence put them on the path we see them on, and how they evolved from that influence, all ranging from loathing and contentions to passion and protection. A Jojo that stands out despite not having working legs, a best buddy that wins the heart of women and men, a memorable antagonist, and one of the best girls in the series. Steel Ball Run is a pretty solid story and part.
レッスン5はこのためにそこだ D4C オラオラオラオラオラ本当になんて遠い回り道ありがとうジャイロ
And that is my review of Steel Ball Run. That is pretty much it. When am I getting to Jojolian? Probably never. Just, if I'm being honest, the rate and pace that I go with these. So yeah, just expect that. Or maybe before you know, Stone Ocean's anime is actually finished. Haha, that's funny. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You know what to do with all the links that I provide and everything of the sort. Thank you for watching. That's greatly appreciated, of course. Have a great day, have a great night, and everything else. You know what to do. Bye.
I did not care for the Ringo Rodigan fight.
How can you not care for the fucking Ringo fight? It's so good.
Didn't care for
How
it.
can you not? Did you not read it? It's like
it
fucking...
insists upon itself.
It's just all of JoJo's insists upon
It
itself.
insists upon itself the most. They spent the whole time talking about like the true man's world or whatever, and then I'm just not invested
Yeah,
one
that's
bit.
very important. How can you not be invested? He was sick as a kid, and then the first time he touched a gun, he grew a pair of balls and killed a man.
I just didn't care.
No, he grew with Sky. You don't understand. He also grew the facial hair right then and there.
He grew the facial hair right then and there.
It's just right then and there. It stayed a part of him for his entire life.
I couldn't care for it. Maybe it's just from the fact that maybe my dumb monkey brain mind
Come
just
on,
doesn't.
Giga. His name's
Yeah, I know it's because your monkey brain didn't
His
get
name's
it.
Ringo Road.
I don't care for the westerns.
How do you? What do you mean you don't care for the western? The western's awesome.
Yeah.
I like hot pants.
Yeah, of course you
That
like
is my
hot
answer to that question.
Yeah, everyone likes hot pants. You're not a fucking intellect because you like hot pants. You're a dumbass because you don't. Whatever, man.